women present.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I believe that exactly what you said, it's about creating a safe space. So I believe that if men feel like the woman or the women that are around are the kind of nurturing, open, willing to hear and listen type, and who
Mm,
are there to kind of cultivate that environment and that feeling,
mm,
then they would definitely open up. However,
mm,
however, I would argue that the majority of men feel as if when they had, like from their past experience, they would have felt like, well, I tried to open up to somebody before and, either they shut me down or they completely didn't listen. And the environment wasn't there for them to feel safe enough to express whatever it was that they wanted to.
mm.
So I feel that kind of like trepidation and that kind of, can I not? Would
Yeah.
initially lead to some hesitation. But again, once they're kind of aware who the women are and what they're there for, and the fact that
Yeah.
those particular women actually want them to share and want them to
Yeah.
be open,
Yeah.
then I definitely feel that they would.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, that's the same kind of scenario that I sort of worked in my head as well, trying to figure out exactly how, how do I feel? How have I felt about it? And how do other guys think about, or feel about these kind of things?
Mm.
And as it is at 7:32, it's just me and you in here, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's
Which
like,
is not a bad
which is
thing.
not a bad thing, but like one of those things where it's just like first day at school and you're maybe like the teacher, the supply teacher, or whatever. You're like, so are they gonna turn up? But yeah, it's an interesting one because last week, Monday, I did a morning one.
Okay.
And I had, I think, about 8 people turn up and whatnot, and I recorded it and tried to edit as much as I could
Uh-huh.
today. And the bit that I could record was like 6 minutes or whatever from, I think it's like a 20 minute. I cut it down to about 20 minutes or something like that.
Right.
And it was interesting what was being said. It was interesting because last week I spoke about triggers,
Uh-huh.
what triggers us and whatnot, and I came across a trigger myself, and
Hmm.
the and it's kind of weird. It's like when it comes to these kind of things, like normally on a day-to-day I'm like, yeah, do my thing, blah blah, but this trigger was from a martial art thing, because a martial art perspective, or at least a sparring perspective. Like I do a bit of martial arts here and there, and I
Uh-huh.
love sparring. And I ended up, it's another lady. I ended up, how you doing, Sarah? I ended up having this trigger of, put it this way, I had a fight in November 2019. It was a charity fight, and I basically I lost the fight and I froze when I'm having to spar with another guy that's like the same height, quite tall as the guy that I lost to. And the trigger was like, I was like, uh, getting hit, and I didn't know what to do. And normally I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do this. Sparring is fun and blah blah. And I didn't think I would ever come up with any sort of triggers. Obviously, there are people who have worse triggers than that,
Yeah.
but that was just that one trigger that I'm still trying to figure out, how the hell do I shake that? Even doing this today. And I know, like, guys are going to be late and whatnot, but like doing this today made me kind of like, it triggered me. I was just like, no one's going to turn up. Um, it's what am I going to say? Because a lot of the times I plan
Mhm.
it, plan what I'm going to say, and I get to it and I'm like, yeah, no, forget this. Like, let's just kind of roll with it, type thing. So yeah, right now I'm mad nervous looking at this thing going.
That's only natural, to be fair. And I mean, like, I'm a teacher by profession, so
Oh,
what
cool.
you were saying about planning,
Mm,
um, my thing is always just have an idea. And it's equally that's applicable to life as well. You can have an idea of what you want your life to be. You can have an idea about, you know, what you believe this plan to be. However, when life actually kicks in, just like when I'm in the classroom, nothing is going to go exactly to that plan, and you have to be able to, you have to be able to be adaptable, flexible, and kind of go with it. So this is exactly like that. You can have your structure, you can have your kind of main points that you want to put across, but even if you planned it like to the absolute second to the letter, it's not going to go according to the plan. So you just got to kind of be a little bit fluid, release all of that attachment to the outcomes, just let it flow. Oh, look, it's Miss Sarah. Divine Epiphany. Hello, darling.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
I was just going to say what you were saying there. It's like literally that moment is the most alive you'll ever feel. That fear, that nervousness, like it's brilliant, actually, you know, that's how we should look at it.
It shows that you can actually feel when you're in the moment and you're alive and living.
Absolutely. I was going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, like, all else is just like, I'm so certain of this, you know, I'm so certain tomorrow's here. I'm so certain, like, actually, when you're in the moment of uncertainty, you're just living, like, you're really living.
Absolutely. And I think it's the same as, I think it was Bruce Lipton said something about, what's it called? I think it's Bruce Lipton, but someone basically said about when you're actually really, really alive is when you are living in your conscious thought. And one of the things of living in your conscious thought is about being falling in love, constantly being in love. When you're in love, you're not programming from your subconscious, you're programming from your now. Do you know what I mean? And I love that. And I think this fear is kind of part of that programming from the now. Yes, Mr. Rose. Let's see yourselves, man. What you hiding, bro?
Yes, bro. You know what? I'm coming back, man. I'm coming back.
No worries. But yeah, this fear is amazing. It's amazing. I don't want to call it a fear. Kind of want to call it.
Is it fear? It's excitement, really, isn't it?
I think it is excitement. It is excitement. It definitely is excitement. It's one of those ones where you're just like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, like whenever I'm on stage or having to do anything like this back in the day, whatnot, and I literally just, it's almost like I get into a mode, like I have to now be, you know, an actor or something or blah blah. But realistically, I feel like I'm shitting bricks. Excuse my language. You know what I mean?
I guess it's just a dance of inadequacy, isn't it? It's like, can I do it? Can I not do it? You know? And am I willing to be put in a space where maybe I may not succeed and other people will see? And how will that make me feel?
Which again is vulnerability, isn't it? You know, putting yourself, when you're unsure, you don't know what the outcome's going to be, being brave enough to put yourself in that space anyway and just be in that space. That is all a part of vulnerability, isn't it? I mean, even if I fall flat on my face, I've still put myself out there. I've still taken a step. I've still come out of my comfort zone, and there's learning in that in itself.
Absolutely. And I feel like I'm definitely one of the guys I know, of course, that whenever I make a mistake or say if I fall over or whatever, literally, like, I literally talk about it, because I feel like it's something that we need to do. Because a lot of the times, like, when we get embarrassed about something or something happens and you know, we don't, it's a kind of thing that you wouldn't tell everyone. I like to tell it, because I feel like telling it just gives people this kind of different sort of strength. I feel, you know, they're like, listen, we are human, and it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to kind of make mistakes and do whatever, you know. So, man, this is interesting. This is what was it called? My Brother's Keeper, and I got 3 ladies in the room. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I think what you just said is that you guys know Brene Brown, right? She's the lady who speaks often about vulnerability and stuff.
No.
And one of the things that she says is basically like, shame cannot survive being spoken. So exactly what you've just said, she's just like, shame can only exist if you hide it. So when you're not speaking about it, when you're keeping it away from people, that's the only way that shame can actually exist. Whereas if you expose it, and you talk about it and you put it out there, well, then it's out now, isn't it? So you've got nothing to feel ashamed
Exactly.
And also, she says like the birthplace of connection is vulnerability. So really, you're going through this process. If you aren't able to put yourself in that space, then you are never truly connecting in any way whatsoever with yourself or anyone else, because you are remaining in your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And I've got to say, within the last like few weeks, I've literally been just not living in my comfort zone at all. I've literally just been doing things that, you know, I wouldn't, you know, I probably only do like 20 years ago or whatever. Like, and I'm doing it and I'm loving it. And I feel like it's kind of interesting because from there, I'm able to just open up to myself. I'm opening up a different layer of myself when I do these things, and this is one of them. And I'm just like flabbergasted to a certain extent. Like, yo, this is interesting. I didn't think I would feel like this. I didn't because it's about the journey, isn't it? It's about the journey of me getting to wherever I'm going. And this journey here is beautiful for me. It's scary, but it's beautiful. It's exciting. Let's be positive talking here. It's exciting. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't know what this is going to turn out to be, but I know it's going to be amazing regardless of whatever happens today. You know? Yeah.
We're here for it.
Anyone else say anything? Say that again. Who was that? Who said that again? Lala.
Yeah. I said, give me 1 second. Sorry, because I'm fiddling around with stuff.
No worries. I feel like I got my three guardian angels in the room here, just like, you know, just there, just fighting my battles for me. Anything happens, that you guys have got my back. You ladies, sorry, have got my back, you know? And it's just, it's interesting. This is just interesting. I don't know what is happening right now, but I feel like I'm just excited about it.
So you say you don't know what happens. So what has been your, because obviously you've thought about it. You have actually considered what you would like it to be, where you would want it to go. So in a kind of like idealistic world, what does it look like? What does this whole thing that you're putting together, what does it look like in your mind?
Basically, in my mind, it just looks like, I think, as I said before everyone else, you know, the other two ladies came into the room, it looks like iron sharpening iron. Get in a room with a bunch of brothers and basically just talk about, you know, how do you deal with certain things? How do you deal with certain vulnerabilities? How do you deal with, you know, say like crying? How do you deal with, you know, how do you just learning from each other, because there's something that we never really speak about. Do you know what I mean? I'm the youngest of 14, yeah? And my brothers, they, blended family, like,
Right, okay.
you know, 4-step brothers and 4-step siblings, and the rest are like half siblings. Bayesian and Nigerian mix. It's a long story, but, you know, but like they were never the type to really talk, you know. Even like, I think one of my oldest brothers from my dad's side, Rudy, he say when my father passed 2018, and, you know, we were carrying a coffin and whatnot, and he was just shouting in the top of his voice, that's my dad. But really and truly, I knew what he wanted to really do was bawl. Cry. But instead of crying, he was shouting in the top of his lungs, like trying to be seen, you know, bravado kind of thing. And I literally overstood what he was doing and where it was coming from. And I had to almost say to him, bro, it's cool. Like, you can cry, it's fine. But he's never been taught to cry, you know? And the funny thing is, I never grew up with my father, with my stepfather, with my biological father. I grew up with my stepfather. I met my real father 5 years ago. Well, 2013. Yeah, that's when I met him. So my brother Rudy and my other brothers from my dad's side have known my dad all their lives and blah, blah. But I sort of come 2013, and I'm able to communicate with my father on a level of vulnerability. Certain things that he told me that he couldn't tell them. And I didn't understand that. So it's almost like there's almost like a bravado in, or your bravado is almost lifted when you're talking to strangers about your feelings. So I guess to a certain extent, this is one of the reasons I also wanted to do this, because I feel like if man them were talking to man them that they knew, they don't want to talk to them about, oh, this and this happened and blah, blah. Brother, man, you're talking wet. What are you talking like that for? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of conversation that's sort of had, not all the time, but I think it also depends on age. It depends on maturity. And a lot of people tend to put, if you're such and such age, you must be mature. Who told you that? So this is just interesting. It's just something that I want to venture more into. And also another reason why I did this, say about 2017, 2016, I was doing a lot of motivational speaking in terms of just, when I say motivational speaking, I say that loosely. It was more talking at my YouTube, talking at my camera, my YouTube, and or even 5 minutes on my Instagram before I started work. When I was working, I think I was working in Great Portland Street or whatnot. So I was always doing it just as I was opening up the building or whatever. And a couple of guys reached out to me in my DM or email or text or whatever and said, yo, like, I don't know where I would be if you're not here talking about this. Because for the last 5 days, I've listened to you put something out about whatever, just life, or just, sort of, I don't want to call it self-help, but self-empowerment type thing. You doing all of this has empowered me because I wanted to take my life. Whoa. That became heavy for me. That became something that I was just like, okay, right. So I got to take this seriously. Like, although I'm not saying that I wasn't, but I feel like that burden of someone actually relying on my words made me kind of feel like, oh gosh, I can't mess this up type thing. And even friends of mine, I've got a group of guys that, we do, we just go raving together. We've known each other for like, 20, 21, 22 years or something like that. Yeah. We just go raving together. It's like 15, almost 30 of us in a room. And I'm probably the only one that's just the most vulnerable enough to kind of say, yo, like, we need to talk, like, because there's a couple of brothers in this room that's talking about some real deep stuff that they're not able to talk about in the group fully. Do you know what I mean? Easy, sis. Go on, got the little curls going on there. Okay.
I know. Right? Hey. Sorry.
Maybe this is what I'm meant to be doing. I'm meant to be finding wife. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
It's like Tim and his aunties.
Oh man, I love that. Tim and his aunties. Hey, please, you're not my aunties, man. You're my emphasis. Totally. I'm totally like in awe for like to be in front of, in the presence of. So thank you very much for coming through. There's no such thing as coincidence, and I love this kind of space. But yeah, that's just basically that's been my story in a sense of why I wanted to do this and why I feel like it's important to do this. And I guess as well, if you think about it, me putting it out there that, yo guys, I'm doing this, this live or whatever, this Zoom, come through, guys are just like, no, like someone else has got to come through first, like someone else has got to like, my boy there.
Do you think we're putting them off? Do you think the female presence is putting them off?
I mean, there's only one person who's come through and has realized there's female presence. You understand? You know what I mean?
His reaction was to run away.
And his reaction was like, like, and he's gone. But then at the same time, I feel like he's probably what he's going to probably do is probably just go and take out his locks and like come back in. It's not like, hey, how you doing? Yeah. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But I feel like whatever it is, I honestly do that it's something that it's a conversation that we need to have openly. Masculine and feminine energy. We need to have this conversation openly. And I feel like, the feminine energy here needs to be, I don't even say needs to be, you just are. What you are doing right now is making it just comfortable even for me to talk. I was nervous before I got on here. And your warmth has just made me feel so comfortable in speaking. I got one of my guys come through here. Like, don't be scared now. Make sure you show your face now. Don't
So
be
question,
scared.
just in line with what you were saying, because I totally, personally, I feel like it is very beautiful to have spaces like this for masculine and feminine energy to come together. But my question to everyone, I guess, is, do you feel like there is still a necessity to have separate spaces? Do you feel that it's still necessary for women to have a women's space and men to have a men's space, and have that kind of collective? Do you think that's necessary to have those kind of gendered spaces, or do you think it should always be a collectively open discussion for each and everyone?
I think it's, you know what, I'm quite torn with that question as well, because sometimes I do believe we do need that that kind of space separately to gather our thoughts, or to kind of like talk openly and be vulnerable. Because funnily enough, the places that I used to get this sort of interaction with like my fellow guys is in a barber's or the gym. I go to an all-male gym, yeah, and it's amazing. You be like, big dude like that, like really, professional, making, telling, how he really feels about his woman. Is that's possible? Yo, you would not believe how possible that is.
That's what I came here for. I got my popcorn and everything. I'm like, yo, where's the men at? I want to hear them talk.
Yeah, they're all like, yo, I want to be the fly on the wall.
Literally. Yes. That was my comment. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. You're like, come through. I was like, don't have to ask me twice. No, but I'm also here because I have a son, and I know like I can do my absolute best to raise a man, but I'm not a man. And I just want to feel and hear some of that stuff, I just want to have that energy,
Yeah.
But the only one brother in here apart from myself, please speak.
Blessings, everyone. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
I apologize for coming in late. I literally had to finish a phone call before I jumped in. And literally again, I thank you, Mr. Ford, for inviting me in such a short notice. So yeah, I appreciate it. And just to touch on the last, what I did catch or what I caught on regarding the spaces. Again, just to echo what my brother was saying. I do think it's important that we have separate spaces initially, but also forums or open spaces where we can communicate freely and without judgment and without, again, and being vulnerable in these spaces, in these said spaces, so that we can actually get that we can actually freely speak our truths and not, have that kind of social judgment kind of thing. So, if that's anything at all.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think it's important to definitely, as I said, like have the separate spaces and also have this open forum, because I believe, I in a sense, in the weirdest way, I prefer this. Why? Because I feel like we can still, because I just want to make it a normality to be able to talk so openly. Do you know what I mean? Masculine and feminine energies talking openly and sharing and actually saying like, yo, sis, I kind of like, what do you feel like if I said this and blah, blah? Like my woman says this and da. And like you going, yo, bro, like, what do you feel about this?
What are your thoughts like?
You know? I feel
Mm.
like that is important to do, you know, like I mean, I don't have any children myself, but you know, my niece, my oldest niece is 23, and
Okay.
I'm like her father,
Mhm.
you know, and she means so much to me, and I'm having to sort of teach her certain things that her father's around, but still, like, she gets more from me. And I feel
Right.
like
Right.
that interaction
Yeah.
really does. She tells me it does really help me, Uncle. Thank you so much. I really love you for this. You know, so I feel like that exchange is very important. I really think it's important.
I
But
mean,
we have to be mindful of kind of saying that there's a truth that you can share with men and then there's a truth that you can share with women
Mm.
when it's just the truth, right? So we come
100%.
into a space to share the truth or we
That's right.
don't. And if you choose to hold back, then I guess you miss your learning, you know?
That's so true. But I feel like the thing is, it's almost like, why is the truth different when you're in front of the, you know what I mean, the feminine energy? Why is that truth different? Because I feel like it's an internal thing. Why is it different?
Look, the truth is, women are so much more comfortable with being vulnerable. Men aren't.
Yeah, definitely. But as I said again, this is why I wanted this space. I didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
have it in my mind that it's going to be exactly like this, like, you know, there's more women in here than men. But I didn't expect that. But I'm still happy with it. Go ahead, sorry, sis.
Question, teacher. So that's kind of like what you were saying before. I guess the question is, why do you guys feel that women are, I think Sarah kind of addressed it with just a comment that she's just made, but why do you guys feel that when this is these types of spaces, women are so much more active than the guys? Like you said, you kind of specifically wanted the space to be for guys, with just maybe a few little women here just to kind of look in and, you know, you wanted it to be for guys, and yet the majority of people who have showed up are women. So why do you guys feel that? Do you think it's the lack of normalizing? Like you said, we have to normalize these spaces for men, because for women it is quite normal to be open and vulnerable and sharing.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
necessarily for guys. So do you kind of reckon maybe that's what it is? So we have to be
You wanna take this one?
consistently normalizing.
Well, okay. I'll touch on that slightly. The reason why I think that there are less men in these kind of open spaces, because again, is that vulnerability. You know, men are socialized differently to women. Women will talk about anything freely, to the point where, you know, women will comment on each other's bodies, they'll comment on their hair, they'll comment on different, and, you know, so on and so forth. This is a normal social interaction and social engagement, which is, again, normalized in inverted commas. Again, it depends on the country, the region. There's different societies that operate differently. But again, obviously, in relevance to obviously what you're saying, it's more of a thing where, again, men don't say, like, you know, even to the point where this has a disclaimer. So if I say to, you know, my brother Tim, I say, yo, bro, like, I like your top, man, or I like your hair, like, I like your beard. They're like, yo, no homo, no homo. So it's like, I now have to then put in a disclaimer to then minimize.
To show love to your boy.
Yeah, to show love to my boy. But then because within society, if I tell that brother, oh yeah, he looks good, it means I must fancy him, which is obviously not the case. But because of the dynamics, the social dynamics of even speaking, like, my guy looks good, then I now have to then feel that my masculinity is under threat because I've decided to say that he looks decent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even though for me, that's not the case. I'm just speaking like in a generalization, a general kind of term.
It's quite interesting that you said that. It's you know, the masculinity being under threat, and that's interesting
concept.
No. I was just trying to work it in my head at you know, at the same time, like, because obviously, if, you know, men and women have, you know, the balance of masculine and feminine energies, and I try to. It's almost like, obviously, men are not 100% masculine. Yeah,
of course not. We're not.
50-50,
you can't be. It's impossible. Yeah? But anyway.
So why do we feel like the majority of men, at least the ones that are talking about it, why do we feel that our masculinity is under threat? Who's trying to steal your masculinity? What does that make you less of a man? Like, these are the questions I'm asking, like, because I feel it sometimes as well. Like, I have to kind of, you know, I don't know, man.
Well,
It's
this
a
is the
hard
thing.
Almost like you're conditioned to only show love through sex and affection towards, and there's
Yes.
no other way. You're not allowed to
Yes.
speak on love. You're not
Well,
allowed
this
to
this
act
is
on
it.
love, especially with your brother. Like, don't dare do it because you're conditioned to believe, or outside is conditioned to believe that if you express an act of love towards someone who is the same sex as you and you are not a homosexual, then you are acting like a homosexual, and that is
Well, then
Yeah.
that's where it's broken.
bananas.
That's what makes it broken. That's what makes it broken. But then this is the thing. When it comes to, you know, masculinity and my brother, it's always has to be expressed through something physical or domineering. That, you know, oh yeah, we're in the football team. You know, we're in war together. We do this. There always has to be some kind of tangibility associated with this is the kind of love that's acceptable for a man. That so I can hug you if I'm dragging you out of a burning building, or I can carry you on my shoulder because you got stabbed. Like, it's all right now, isn't it? It's cool, isn't it? But I can't be like, I can't just pat a man on the back and say, well done for passing your driving test. Like, I can't be like, yo, like, well done for, you know, becoming a father and, you know, being a good dad and, you know, love for you and hug a brother, because I'm showing that genuine connection with him and I appreciate everything about his being. Like, I can't do that. Like, it has to be like, man's got to take a bullet for you, like, or something. Like,
And it starts, no, seriously, it starts really young as well, because like I remember I worked in education and the boys couldn't show affection to one another, so they play fight all the time because they really just wanted to hug each other, but they would not be doing that. They'd be fighting, but it's a way, it's a means to have physical contact.
it is a form of communication.
Yeah, and I think also it's a misunderstanding of what love is anyway. I think, you
100,
know, for a lot of
100%.
people, love is sex and love is physical. So the moment you are trying to express love, hence the whole no homo, because people automatically think if you're showing love, it's sex,
No homo.
you know? And so I think having to unlearn the initial
100%.
concept of love being so tightly connected to sex could be a way to kind of break down that whole weird awkwardness around.
It's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior.
My son is only 4, right? And we do homeschool and his friends come over, they're boys. And he'll play all day with them and not say, I love you, mum, right? He'll just crack on. And if he does it, he'll do it like quietly, like when no one's in the room. But he actually prepares himself and he'll say to me, Mum, today I'm not going to say I love you until the evening, okay? I'm like, all right, no problem. So I'm like, he already knows. He already knows, like, he mustn't be all like, I love you, mum, like all day long when these boys are around, because he's going to be doing his boy stuff, you know? Like, and I don't know whether it's about him being distracted, you know, or he's like, these boys don't say they love their mum lots and lots like I do, so I'm not going to do it, you know? But there's this conditioning that comes from your peers also, you know? So it's very interesting for him to be that small and even be aware of it.
Well,
I'm like, whoa.
It definitely starts from there. I mean, like, I've got 2 children. My son is actually going to be 6 in this month, actually. And I've got my daughter's 4. And already my son at 6, he's already, well, so he's 5, but he's trying to make him older already. But yeah, he already, like, again, is showing simple things like, you know, that kind of masculine, you know, boys play with these things and girls play with these things. So, and again, but his sister, like, doesn't have it. Like, she will play with his toys, she does whatever. And this is the thing. Sometimes it's also it's an unconscious bias that we automatically put onto them. Like, remember, they mirror our behaviors. Like, you know, to a certain degree, you know, we are our children's gods and goddesses. Like, we're their life, we're everything, innit? So we're the author and the guidance of the contents of what they choose to do. So if we, you know, if they see mum doing this or they see dad doing this, or on the TV, mums do these things and dads do these things, that's already trying to lay the foundation or the archetype of what they believe is what it's meant to look like. Remember, it's about what it's meant to look like, not what it feels like. The feeling is something that, again, is part of the experience that they don't know, and then they realize whether what it looks like matches what it feels like. Again, this is where the kind of confusion can come into it, you know, and the difficulty of understanding what love looks like, or what, you know, being positive towards one another looks like. Because again, it's a learnt behavior, and again, we have these kind of, you know, implicit biases towards these things because we have an expectation of this is what a man does. You're a man, or you're a woman, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. And this is how it starts. It starts from then. And then it becomes, you know, their table of contents in their mind of what they think they should be doing, because this is what it's meant to look like when you do this. The second thing I want to touch on as well, when it comes to expressing yourself, when it comes to say love in general or anything, is vocabulary and communication in general. I work in a school. I work in behavior, in a secondary school in a alternative provision. So I work with all the challenging students, you know, emotional, whatever, blah blah, all these kind of different things. And one of the main things that you tend to come across is not being able to articulate oneself and express oneself accordingly, mirroring the internal condition. So you don't have the words. So for example, when it comes to say females talk all the time, you know, there's studies saying, you know, females have X amount of words more in their vocabulary than men do, because men just grunt and groan and slap each other and all that kind of stuff, right? However, that's not the case. I'm generalizing, yeah. But the point is, it's like, these are obviously forms of communication. However, when it comes to communicating on a general level and being able to pinpoint and to accurately express one's feelings, if you don't have a word for it, and all you have, imagine, like, it's like having a dictionary with only like 12 pages in it. You know, how many times are you going to recycle words? How many times are you going to be able to express yourself and have the dynamics of and to reflect on how you truly feel? And this is where the problem comes in. This is where the frustration comes in, when what you try to say or communicate doesn't match. And I think this is where the issues come into it. That's why it becomes physical, just like anyone else. If you're having a conversation with somebody and you feel that there's certain things not getting through, or you don't feel that they're being received, they'll start to manifest themselves physically. People stand up, they raise their voice, it becomes things more tangible, they become more physical, because it has to match the internal condition. Again, if you don't feel you're being heard, you're going to shout, you're going to raise your voice. If you feel that what you say is worth more than what the other person's saying, you're going to change the level to match it, and so on. You puff your chest. So, you know, it becomes physical, it becomes a body language thing. And I think this is, I think that's kind of where some of the issues come in, you know, with learning what love is. You know, you can't punch someone in the face and be like, "I love you, bro," and punch them, like, and have some super punch, and the punch is equivalent to like 1,000 hugs. Like,
I've kind of seen that happen though.
What
Like,
was
someone would, like, punch someone in the nuts and go, "Oh yeah, I love you, bro." Really?
No. They can have that. They can have that one. But
So,
yeah. But
ladies,
yeah,
in a sense, and this is another thing, I was not told off, but I was told off. Yeah, let me say told off for calling women ladies at one
Ladies
point.
or females?
Females, that's it.
Okay.
Like, I was saying male and female, and I was like,
Yeah.
"No, you can't call me female," and I was just like, okay, I don't explain. Can someone express that or explain that to me?
No, I can't.
Go ahead, guys.
I don't know what
sounds like Iron Man to me. Female.
Female. Explain that. That's still gone over my head.
FE, is FE not the symbol for iron?
Right, I didn't know that.
Iron Man. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you know, I feel like
table, right? So the side. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, not just because there's a whole lot of, you know, women in here. I do believe. Like,
sorry, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the issue is with that. I don't take issue with it. I don't know what it is though.
I don't take issue with it either, but I did hear, and to be honest, I don't know much about what the argument is against it, but the small part that I did hear was just that female apparently is how you would refer to an animal. I mean, again, it's not an argument that I accept. It's not an argument I understand personally. I feel like if you're being human beings, we are technically animals anyway. So if that is the main issue, it's still not a problem.
We call our children kids. We call our children baby goats.
Baby goats, right?
So funny. You know what's
goats the symbol of the devil.
I've never referred to my children. I never used the word kid ever, like specifically, because because obviously I understand what a kid is, and I don't refer to them as that. I've never used that word ever. Like, I'm very conscious about the words that I use in general, and especially towards my children. So I don't say the
I
word.
actually call my kid a goat. I call him a goat sometimes.
Wait, you little goat, come
Well,
here.
that's the listen,
He
girl,
is a
yo.
goat. Yes, he's a sheep and he is a goat often.
Billy,
Yeah.
Billy goat. Billy goat.
Little lamb, yo.
Yes, Miss Harmony, you're just here, the only person just muted up in here. My brother's here. Oh my gosh, from America. Oh, this is crazy. Oh man. Oh gosh. Yo, this is meant to be like a men's thing here, and look how many ladies is here.
Yeah, but
We
you
showed
need
up for our brothers. We're here for our brothers.
Well, how many
Showing
invites
up for
did
the
you send?
brothers. Huh?
How many invites did you send out?
I sent out loads.
Probably
You know?
invited
But like huh?
we invited the whole of
What you say,
England.
bro?
No, and Tim. The whole of
Trust
England
me,
they
try
invited.
to. You know what I mean? Like my brother's he lives in Utah, and like obviously their time is like 8 hours behind, kind of thing. Like I'm excited for him to kind of be on here. Like we were just talking about like spaces, feminine and masculine type spaces in terms of when we talk and share what's going on in our hearts and stuff like that. And should we have separate spaces, or do men act differently when there's men around, or just men around, or just women around, kind of thing? What's been your experience since you got 10 years on me? 9 years, sorry.
It's me, right? Talking to me, bro?
Yeah, bro.
All right. First of all, I want to say thanks for having me on, man. Love you, bro. Miss you so much. What's interesting is that I was just talking about this just recently. And I was reading this book, and it says that generally, in terms of a conversation, the vocabulary, men will speak
Someone just said
maybe
that.
like 10,000 a day.
Someone just said that.
Did you say that?
Dude said that, yeah. That's
Right?
crazy.
But here's what's crazy about that. I think that we can learn so much from just this simple thing, because what is it really? I used to always make fun of my wife and women in general when they had to have their girls' night out pity party, talk about what's going on, you know what I mean? And with us guys, we go out, go get a drink, we talk 5,000 words, and then we come home and there's nothing, right? But the sisters, they come home and then, oh, I forgot something. More 5,000 more words, and then 50,000. We're like, what? Where's this come from, man? Like my wife will come home from a girl's night out, and then she has a night out at home on the phone. I'm like, I thought you just hanging out with you. But what I realized is that she feels so much better.
Wow.
And us men could learn from that,
Yeah.
especially with mental health and stuff like that. Because what is it really? We're just. There's this thing about. I wanted to write a song about this, about sunflower. Right? It's what a sunflower does is when the sun comes out, it follows
the sun.
And from sun to sundown. But what happens is when there's no sun, when there's darkness, and they can't find the energy from the sun, they turn to each other, bro, and they get their energy, the reserved energy that they stored, they send it to each other. And like right now through COVID, that's probably, I'm thinking, that most important thing for us as brothers, not just brothers here and sisters here, together, that we need to share our energy with each other because we need it so bad. And so turning to each other is such a powerful thing that we can use to be able to bless each other's lives. I'm the type of person, and Tim, you know that, we always struggle. Me and my brother always struggled. He's a talker, and I'm just like, yeah. And I need to have my peace, my silence, have my solace. And I started to realize, and I learned from Tim, that I needed to reach out more. And that's really me with my mental health process, where I got to stop being proud and stop saying I can do this by myself. Stop saying I'm the man and I can handle all of this. When half of the people in the graves said the same thing. You go through the cemetery, they said the same thing. Look what their afro is now.
Those are their afros.
That's the joke,
bro,
but it's
and I'm wearing your top as well. And the funny thing is,
bro,
I just chose to wear this top because this is basically like don't bend but don't break, which is sort of like an anti-suicide type thing that my bro, was sort of doing kind of thing. So and it's one of those things where I wanted to do this as well because a lot of men, I think more men commit suicide than women.
Yeah,
Because they don't
100%,
turn
yeah.
to each other.
We
Like
don't do this.
flowers. We don't talk.
Yeah.
The thing we make fun about our women about is the very thing that would save our lives.
Imagine.
Yeah. And I think that exactly what you just said ties into Tim, what you were saying about statistics regarding Black men and mental health and suicide. I'm not sure about in the States, but I know that in the UK, Black men have the highest rate of suicide than any other group, right?
Wow.
And I would
Hey,
argue,
wow.
just as Alex has said, it's because what are the main reasons that people commit suicide? Because they feel like whatever they're going through, they can't share it,
Yeah.
they can't express,
Yeah.
they can't
No,
let
no,
people know
Internalize.
what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
And with our community, specifically Black men, whether it's from the Caribbean or from Africa, there's even more layers into, you know, manhood and what a man should be. And then there's all this taboo about therapy. There's this taboo about taking your family business out into the street. And, you know, there's so many reasons as to why people don't talk. And then
But
it
you
ends
see, that is not synonymous with African culture, you know, like
Oh, no,
in
it's not.
Africa, it's a Western thing, you know,
Yeah, it
that
is a
keep
Western
your business
thing.
that it takes
Yeah,
a
it is a
village.
Western
Everybody
thing.
knows it takes a
100%.
village there. But here, everyone's like, shut the
100,
door, lock the door, don't tell the
Yeah.
neighbors, keep the noise down. Like,
Isolation.
it's that is
Yeah.
not, and it's so
Mhm.
difficult. That is one of the most amazing kind of bits of trickery, really.
Yeah. And that's why
proceed with this idea that a culture behaves in a particular way, and then they adopt it as their way, and then they think it's their
Exactly.
way, and then it keeps
Exactly.
manifesting.
Yep. And that's why I said,
Go ahead.
sorry.
The other
Sorry to cut.
the other funny thing is even when you are someone who has gone to therapy and is doing the inner work, you are still shamed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen, sis.
And you know, I think it's interesting about that because I've experienced something like this, right? And I thought to myself, if I had been a crackhead, right? If I was somebody who was on some type of drug, right? Cracked out of my face, and then I decided to go to rehab, yeah? I put myself in rehab, I go through my processes, and then I come back out. Nobody on the outside,
No,
right?
you'd
Nobody's gonna say to me, why are you
Listen,
trying
you'd
to
get a round
switch
of
up? Like,
applause.
who do you think you are?
You-
Why are you
you'd get a
trying
round
to
of
like?
applause. You'd get a pat on the
Nobody's
back.
gonna say that. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. I'll get a pat on the back. Well done.
Mhm.
You're doing
Yeah.
so good. Everybody's cheering you on. But now, if I'm having any type of mental issue, emotional issue, and I want to go and talk to someone about it, I'm going in therapy. I'm doing my inner work to try and be somebody different. Again, in quotes, because you know,
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Who do you think you are? Why are you trying to switch up? That's not you. That's not the person that you
I mean,
are." What?
the one thing that you most definitely, the one thing you most definitely would have generationally is trauma from an experience that occurred for a particular set of people, right? That's inevitable, right? So that will carry through. But the trick is to be like, don't talk about your mental health. You see that? So you are walking, and it's coming through the DNA continuously,
100%,
repetitively.
100%.
Like there's no way to escape it, you know? That's it. It's there. And our children are being born into a space where they have to understand and work through things that they've never experienced, but they feel the pressure of it. And that is not an environmental thing, that's a DNA thing. So they're already being born with the odds in regards to their mental health against them, actually, not for them. And then they're raised in an environment where their mental health is continually challenged by every institution.
Yep.
Where do we go? You know, where do we actually go? Where does this stop? How does it stop?
It stops with these conversations. It stops with this forum. It stops with the dynamics of this space. That's why this space needs to exist. This is why, just like again, the same conversations that had how many moons ago, how many generations ago, this is another milestone of this conversation that will now then, from this point onwards, happen generations after it, and so on, and so on, and so on, as a point of reflection and a point of, again, building that personal like integrity. So this is what it is. We're living it. This is it right here. This is it right now. that's what we do.
I think there's
And we're
also
doing it.
like there's a way to rewire your DNA, you know, in the
there is. Of
respect
course there
that
is.
you can have
course there
more
is.
joy, more gratitude, more happiness, you know, you get more happy cells. When you procreate, those cells are happy. So that DNA is diminished, you know, that pain or that kind of trauma DNA is lessening. And I guess if you know, I hate using the word they, but if people know on the people who are conducting this experiment are aware that that is happening, then they would have to put more pressure on to continue this
That's
DNA.
right. To
And
maintain,
also, for me,
that. Yeah.
the most interesting part is the fact that this trauma gene now is in everybody's DNA from this last year. It's in everyone's. So where are we going with this, and what kind of children are we going to have in like 50 years time? Not these children, they're already affected. They're already they're already anxious, nervous, attachment disorder adults already, unfortunately, because they're born into this, you know. But the children who will carry the DNA of this experience, it'll be very interesting to see what they're like.
Just a quick question. How do we extend this live past 8:30, or does it just cut off?
Yeah, it popped up. It popped up actually. I saw that.
You'd have to,
might have to redo it again.
Back, if I'm not mistaken.
Because this, I don't want to lose this. This is interesting, and he only got hotter from after 8 p.m. I'm like,
everyone wake up. Everybody woke up. Innit?
You know, it's absolutely amazing. It's amazing. So I'm as you guys are talking, ladies and gents are talking, I'm going to set up another one just for maybe another half hour, maybe an hour, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I feel like there's still a lot more to talk about, and we just need to normalize. Just keep normalizing something like this as much as we can.
100%. 100%.
So yeah,
100%.
as you were, I'm gonna try. And...
Well, I was gonna...
Disclaimer: I will be able to stay on for the next like half hour or so, but I will have to.
You know what? Even this last 10 minutes, let's make it the best 10 minutes then, because like I just got excited. I was like, whoa.
You know, I love what Sarah said. You know, particularly about, look, we've got to a point now. What about the new generation, upcoming generation? It's interesting because what I've noticed, and I don't know, Tim, if I told you this one time. I remember when I was living on my own, you know, in London, and my mom and Tim was in Nigeria, and I was going to boarding school here. And I remember after I left boarding school, I lived in this little apartment, and it stank so bad and everything, I couldn't afford it. And every time it rained, the water would come through the ceiling, right? So I had this bucket, and I put a bucket underneath where the water was. And at first it was just like all night. It was like bloop, bloop, bloop all night, right? Constantly. I remember when I woke up and the bucket was so full, I couldn't even move it. Now I want you to think about those plops. Think about those plops. Is every single one of those plops is a negative thought that you have in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the beginning, it's good. It's light. You can still pick it up. But eventually, if you let those plops keep coming, that sounds weird. I'm saying plops like that.
This guy. Yeah.
From your mind. Because like I always used to say, you know, people say, oh yeah, Alex is the positive guy. You know what I mean? It's okay to be negative. You got to have a balance and this and that.
100%.
No. That's one place where you cannot have a balance.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you don't know when it's gonna tip. And then it gets to the point where the thoughts are so heavy, you can't pick up the bucket and it's too late. I have so many people and friends that says it got to the point where the best thing for me was to take my life, because that was where I found the peace. It was, I couldn't get it anywhere else. It was too much for me.
Wow.
So when people always tell me, oh yeah, you got to get a balance, we got to stop telling people that. We got to be cheesy about it. Listen, I have a friend that just came out of prison, right? And I remember, well, this was about 5-10 years ago or whatever. He came out of prison, and I remember like I went to visit him, went to pick him up, you know what I mean? And he came home, and I remember like after about a week, I went to look up on me, how you doing? You know, that stuff. And I remember I walked into the apartment, and he had the TV on to cartoons. He was watching Tom and freaking Jerry and Timothy Sam and all that over and over again. And I remember saying to him, bro, why are you watching this nonsense, man? How old are you? You're like in your 50s. You're watching this nonsense. No,
happy,
he said, Alex, if you've seen what I've seen, You've gone through what I've gone through. The only way that I can erase it is by replacing it with everything that's good. And however cheesy,
100%.
I'll accept that, because that is what's going to switch my DNA back to the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're going to tell our people, our friends, our family, watch the things that you think about. Be careful about the energy that comes from the music you listen to, the energy that comes from the movies, everything. It's really, really simple. It gets to a point where it's too late. And that's why everyone says, oh yeah, it's your chemical imbalance, so nothing can be done and this and that. No. Remember our mom always used to say, prevention is better than cure. What are we going to do to prevent it? There's a cure that's too late now. It's too late sometimes for many of our loved ones. Other than prayer, major, all day. But
do you know what though? A lot of the negative thoughts come from your carers. So they give you that blueprint, you know. They are like all your pre-7, like your blueprint for life comes from before 7 years old. Like that's all really ideally from your parents and from your siblings.
But you can cancel it out. There's a story about
100%.
Viktor Frankl. He was a prisoner of war, Second World War, and he was in there. And he was tormented every single day. He had people that were telling him negative stuff, that were beating him, raping him, everything, every single day in the Japanese prisoner war place. And the craziest thing is he came out, right, as one of the most positive people he ever met. He wrote books, Man's Search for Happiness, this thing. And I kept wondering, wait, this doesn't make sense, because you are a product of your environment, right?
So
we always say this.
So they say.
But he was telling something else. He was saying that is beautiful, but it's not always the case. But you fight, and you have to, you know, when they say go to your happy place, that's what he had to do over and over. So it's the knowledge and the understanding that whatever environment you are, you don't have to be a product of it. And that's the hardest thing to do. But I believe, because it's tough, though, but I believe that there's.
Sorry to interject, but just a quick one. That saying still stands true because he is a product of his environment. He's just a different product. A lot of people have a negative connotation to that. You think, oh, your product is your environment. Oh, what, you lived in a slum, therefore you're a bum. Or you live in a slum, or therefore you're ignorant, or you're a thug. No, it's not. It's because I lived in that environment is why I'm the way that I am. Because I overcame.
Look
because
at Mandela.
There you go. Do you understand? So it still stands. You yes, to a degree, you are a product of the environment. This is the thing. It's about the choice.
They broke Mandela, though. That's a different thing.
The choices.
It's how you choose to respond. You can always choose how to respond. You can't always choose your house. You can't always choose the food on the table. You can't choose your parent. You can't choose, the road.
No, I would disagree though. I'd say you chose it all. You chose it all before you came here. It's your soul contract. You thought it was a great idea.
Hold on. You see this?
You got here.
No.
Let her finish. Going out there, guys.
One second.
I agree with you, by the way. I agree with you, by the way.
All right, so you chose it all. You came here. Right? And your challenge is in alignment with your purpose. So it doesn't really matter. All this stuff is sent to you, so you jump over it. It's a hurdle for you to know yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So can I jump in here? And this is what it's all been about. Like myself and Alex have gone through like some stuff with our mom and stuff like that, and like what we've gone through, I've realized that it's actually been something that is the foundational strength that we have, that if any kind of BS comes towards us, we're like matrix it out the way, because we overstand it, you know what I mean? Like we overstand this whole situation. So at this point, whenever anything apparently bad happens to someone, it's like, it's not bad, it's a lesson. What did I learn from this? What am I gonna learn from this? And I can't believe this is gonna cut off in 1 minute.
No, there's no better lesson as well than your transgressor being your relative. There's no better lesson.
Wow.
A stranger will transgress against you forever. It doesn't really matter. Someone that close, that's the learning. That's the real learning.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
that's what you grow from. We don't grow from success. We grow from failures.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Failure is a dress rehearsal for
That's not
success.
good for us. We need it. But as my boy Apothecary said, we got to choose it. We got to choose how we're going to react to it. We can't choose the environment, but we can choose how we're going to move forward from that. Is this a blessing or a lesson? You know what I mean? It's like I remember reading this thing. There's no losers. You either win or you
No
learn.
losses, yeah.
Absolutely.
No loss.
No losses,
Everything
only lessons.
is a notch under our belt. The worst
Mhm.
things is where we get the most growth. And everyone, when you read their biography, when the books of those people who are the most successful, what do they start with first? All their failures. Why?
Yeah.
They don't talk
How
about
they
the
learn.
successes. They talk about how that's how it got them there.
Mm.
We need to
I
teach
think
our
it's
kids
about
that. And
feeling.
when you go for crack,
It's about
eat up the crack, get it out, whatever you need to do. Oh, that sounds weird. But you know what I mean? It's just like we got to take it in and for what it is, and then we got to come out and say, this is not going to define me. I'm not going to let the fact I was broken homeless define me. I refuse. But I've
The
got
only
to
way
what
you
I
become
was.
defeated by life is when you die. Every other breath is an
Yes.
opportunity to do something different.
Oh,
So
Hey.
while you're alive, like
epiphany.
you
There's always
yeah,
a chance.
This is what you're gonna do to me today, yeah?
Hey,
Hey, say
this
that.
place, you know, go on tour.
You know?
I think it's just gonna keep
Beautiful.
going then. It
Go
hasn't
ahead,
got off.
Lala.
I think it's gonna keep going.
Say again?
we're still on. It's okay. You set the
That's
time,
how
but it's still going.
That's how relaxed.
It's
I was.
our power. Ah,
Well,
Before
yeah,
Tim,
them
I
did the
see
thing.
Tim's watching, you know, he's looking, and then he was just like, oh.
Harmony said our pain is our power. So true, Harmony. It is.
Yes.
Oh,
And I
okay,
think
please,
what
please,
you guys were saying about is your response to things. Anything that you experience in life is not from the outside. It's from you. It's from
It's
within.
your perception. It's your
Any
perception.
experience is
the
your
process.
perceptions, the way you
Mhm.
process the information.
Yeah.
So exactly what you lot were saying. We are
Yeah.
kind of a product of our environment, but it's because of the way we're responding to
Yeah.
our environment. Do you
That's
see what I'm
right.
saying? 'Cause anything
And
you
we-
ever experience comes from you.
Absolutely. It's a
It's all an
perception. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is it even really happening? You know, or is it just that?
Absolutely.
Because what's happening here for me right now is not the same thing that's happening for all of you. Like,
100%.
Mm.
so
100%.
is it real? Is it real then?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
you're taking this to the next conversation.
No.
We're gonna have.
This is what epiphany
No.
does.
This is the thing.
We love
This is
that.
the thing.
I know you know about this.
I know
I know
exactly
you know
what
about
you're talking about, and I fully agree, and I fully appreciate what you're saying. And you know what it is? The reason why I'm saying it like this is because a lot of time when I speak about certain things, I have to make sure that I stay on the subject because to me, there's no separation to anything in it. So I can link this onto like Walker's Crisp if I have to. Like this is it's all connected to me as far as I'm concerned.
This is the cheese
So,
and onion of
cheese and
life.
onion.
Yeah.
Listen, and why cheese and onion is blue and not green, and blue for Walkers and green and golden wonder. But again, another conversation.
That's a different
See?
concept.
Yeah, you see. But yeah, so
We're talking throat chakra, heart chakra. I don't know where you're going with this one.
Ooh, okay.
well, you know, it's the colors, isn't it? It's the frequency, it's the vibration, isn't it? But yeah, no, but seriously though, you're correct in that sense. You know, is it real? You know, we could talk about the biological aspect of, like, for example, the brain can't see anything. It processes information and the frequencies of what comes in through our eyes. So the radiation, the frequency, the vibration comes from our eyes. Then our brain then translates it into what it thinks it is, inverted commas.
Which
So because it
depends on
thinks
what
that,
is being put in
Even
the brain in the
even
first
that-
And
place.
you know what?
Yeah.
We know that for sure.
it goes,
Do you know what our brain does all the time? Yeah, this is makes me think, what am I not seeing? Our
Yeah.
brain,
Fills in
stops
gaps.
registering the fact that it can see our nose. If you can see your nose all the
Yeah.
time, but it
Yeah.
cuts your
Yeah.
nose out, so you can't see your nose. I'm like, well, what else can't I see?
Wow.
okay,
Interesting.
what that is now, that is it's called inattentional blindness. It ignores certain
Mhm.
pieces of information. It's like a computer taking up too much memory, so it removes it because it's like,
It
well, we know
removes
it's there. It's a constant. We know that your nose is not moving, therefore we don't need to acknowledge it, and that's basically why. Yeah, so and all animals have a blind spot anyway, which is, you know, the point at which your brain doesn't register the information. But again, see, the conversation is getting off on another tangent. I don't want to say it.
Fine. It's fine.
Loving it all.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
fine. It's actually fine because there's learning in everything in every corner. Every single thing that we speak about will turn into something else, but it's because it's part of that the foundation of what we started with. It's all part. It's all connected. So
all
please,
part and related. So
because
but
we're
again,
talking about DNA as well. We're talking about how DNA can sort of change and stuff like that. Can someone was talking about that? Can you please talk more about that in terms of DNA?
12 strands.
Traumatic.
Okay.
12 strands.
What do you want?
Authors, go ahead.
As much as I know, we need to change, not need, but it's the 12 strand DNA now. Not this, is it, I believe, 6. Is it the 6, Sarah?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Not my specialty.
I know there's something about, is it called telomeres? Telomeres. I think telomeres, I'm not sure. Basically, you can, I think you can heal them in some way. There's certain parts of your DNA that you can heal.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you can also access DNA from any point as well. So you can, that's why you can tap into things from your ancestors historically.
Right.
So basically, in other words, whatever your mum knew and your dad knew and their dad's dad knew and their mum's mum knew and anything that's part of your DNA, you know.
Yo,
yes.
let me 1 second. Alex, listen, this is the funny thing, yeah. I remember, when mum will say something to me like, "Oh, don't you remember that auntie?" Blah 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 blah. So I was like, hold on, when was I meant to remember that auntie? In Caledonia Road. But mum, I was 2 years old in Caledonia Road. But I remember, so you should remember.
That's not quite the same thing. That's not quite the same thing. What it is even though I know that one as well, you know, it's like when they put you on the phone to talk to someone, it's like, I don't know who I'm talking to. Why am I talking to?
I married you when you were 6 months old.
Do you remember? Oh, you got big. No, I don't remember your face. I don't know who you are. I'm just waiting for you to stop talking so I can go back to pay my Lego. Thank you. I'll pay my Lego now, please. Thank you.
Backward, remember.
Say again?
What did you say? Sorry. Go on, Azine.
Now, it's almost like a walk backwards that you need to make to remember.
Yeah.
You believe it is possible? It is possible to is it through meditation for you to kind of go back?
Yeah. But it's also
meditations do it. It's you releasing traumas and remembering who you are at a core level.
Yeah.
Like
making space.
You know, outside of all the illusions of the world, outside of constructs, just you in your purest form is a walk backward to knowing.
Yeah. We are not our bodies.
Did someone ding something?
Huh?
Did someone just ding like a bell or something?
Yeah, I heard that noise. I was like, what was that?
You heard it too? I thought you did it, no?
I did it.
I heard a gong. Help me.
I was like, they're coming.
They're here. What do you mean?
That was our ancestors. Yeah, they were gonging.
This is amazing. We sort of, because obviously the main topic of what we got here for was basically about am I my brother's keeper? You know, am I my internet is unstable, it says. Okay, no. Am I my brother's keeper? Yeah. Now, bro, in terms of like when you're talking to other men and stuff like that, do you feel I know the answer to this. Do you feel that you are your brother's keeper in terms of when people want to come to you and say, Alex, yo, this thing happened to me, blah blah. Like, how are you your brother's keeper, and what do you do to sharpen? Because I believe iron sharpens iron. What do you do to sharpen your brother?
Yeah, there was 2 parts of that. For me, I'm my brother's keeper until when I'm going through some stuff. Then all of a sudden I got to keep my own self. But I love. But one thing I've noticed, and this has been the hardest thing, and even you have taught me this, is that when I do think outside myself and make it not just about me, and I go out and bless and help, serve whatever gifts God's given me to be able to spread it out and use it, then I forget about my problems. Then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, it feels really good being my brother's keeper. Because it's like just this blessings come back to you.
Yeah.
You feel good. You know what I mean? You feel good when you're out there, outside yourself and trying to just be, whether it's a voice of reason or comfort or an encourager. You know what I mean? It's like there's way too many critics in this world, not enough encouragers. And that's where the power comes from. That's where we strength together when we spend more of our time encouraging. So I would agree with you that it's so important to be a brother and a sister's keeper, especially when you're not in the mood for it. Especially during those times is even more important to be that, because that can become your balm of Gilead. That's where your own personal healing comes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess because we get locked in this pattern, right? So something hits us and we're like, I need to go inside and not talk to anybody, you know, but really we need to come out. And that connectivity draws us. But I've got an issue with iron sharpens iron, because men are hard, iron sharpens iron. Now, I think it needs to be something softer, something a lot softer. We don't need sharp iron anymore.
Hold on.
Sharp mind.
Hold on, let me just get this.
Sharp mind.
Did you not mention iron already with the woman, the female?
Yeah, I know, but look, you think about women and you think
Paris,
about
like,
jelly. You don't think about iron, right?
Yeah.
So, like, for us to be iron jelly would be a great thing. But for you to be iron sharpening iron, I mean, we need some jelly in there too.
You give me jokes, you know.
I mean,
you fully take it out of context, like you make me laugh, you know. But I like it though. I like it. But yeah, iron. Obviously, the concept of iron sharpens iron, and others like what works for one works for the other. And we both have the same strength and influence on each other. So in other words,
but look at the iron sharpening iron. Look at the action though. It's all action.
That's iron cutting.
That's friction. That's friction. We need to be fluid, definitely more fluid. Emotions aren't sharpening anything. You can't sharpen your emotions. They're very fluid.
Okay. But who said anything about emotions?
What Sarah's saying, I think, however, it's more, at least from my understanding, it's more the concept of it takes like when you sharpen in a knife, you sharpen with another knife.
Two. Right? Yeah, so it takes two to get strength, to gain the strength.
And of strength, any kind of quality. I don't want to say strength because you know, so we're talking about fluidity and all of this, but any kind of character at its highest, it's going to take the highest of my character, of my being, to raise the level of somebody else.
That's right.
So for me personally, that's my understanding of iron sharpening iron, that if I'm at my best or if I'm at a peak, then I can bring somebody up. And equally, they're going to do the same to me. So it's just, we're just leveling up and leveling up.
Which is what a rivalry is.
So,
which is what, that's what you call,
healthy rivalry, obviously.
The two envies, you have, what is it? You have malicious and you have benign. So that's benign envy. So the difference is, malicious envy is, you don't deserve to be there. I'm going to take you out and I don't care if it's in your benefit or not. So I'm going to destroy you, which is what we're used to. People putting you down, people telling you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. Versus benign is, bro, you're running. Nah, bro. You see them clothes you're wearing there? Nah, man. I'm going to buy some clothes just like you, man. You think I'm not going to get left behind? How are you going to look better than me? Nah, you're not looking better than me.
You know, there is...
Let's step up, let's step up now. Or you're influenced by or be inspired by somebody. So you look up to them, you think, you know, because I'm down here, again, inverted commas down here, whatever that means, you want to move into that position that they are, and therefore inspired, and therefore use your resources to move forward. Benign envy, malicious.
There is no there, though, is there? You know, there is no there, especially when you become an adult. Maybe when you're a kid, you're like, I just want to get an A star or whatever. Like, I might speak like this, but I can't give up rich tea biscuits. And that's my thing, innit? So we've all got different kind of limitations and boundaries on us, you know? So you might be like, I like the way she speaks, but I really genuinely am addicted to rich tea. And that is like, so we've all got different things. So I feel like there is no there, or whatever there it is a different there for me and you and her and everybody.
That's the point. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's exactly the point. It's your version. It's your perspective. It's your perception.
But then how can your version sharpen my version?
Well, it depends. See, that's the thing. You got to get the right person that matches your version. It's like being in a playground or whatever, and you got the shapes and the square. You're trying to put the square in a triangle. It's not going to fit. So you got to find a triangle for the triangle. You know what I mean? You just need that kind of.
I feel like we are the drips in the bucket. You know, we are the drips in the bucket.
Interesting.
So there's no sharpening, there's nothing, you know, like actually what I'm doing in order to learn from you is reducing my boundaries, not creating them. And iron has boundaries. I need to be more fluid. So what I know, there's no way what I know is equal to what you know, right? There's no way.
It's not meant
exactly. And that's where the fluidity comes. So you might teach me how to give up rich tea, you know, and I might talk to you a bit more about telomeres.
But that's if you want to give. But the question is though, then why would you need to give up rich tea? Because it's your thing. Unless you feel that you need support with that. Hence, the iron sharpens iron. If you want to replace him with hobnobs, it's up to you, isn't it? You know,
I think hobnobs are much better.
Everything that Sarah is saying is valid, and I agree.
The one with the granule thing at the back, you know, like the multi one. Go on.
Like, go on there.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's not as literal as that. At least to me, it's not as literal as that. And I feel like whatever the thing is that you're trying to improve, you can find somebody else who's equally trying. It might not even be the same thing. It might just be, I see you are really striving and you're dedicated and you're really moving towards the goal that you have. I want to do that too. So I'm going to kind of look at you, not even specifically what you're, just the fact you're doing something. That's going to encourage me to want to go and do something equally. And I think it's more that than the specifics of the, you know, the barriers and all of that. At least to my mind.
I mean, I get it. I'm just being facetious. You know that, right?
You know, it took you this long time to say I'm trying to be devil's advocate. You don't know what you're doing.
But my point is, we just need to be more fluid about things. Like we're sharing space right now. I don't know any of your backgrounds, you know, but I'm showing up as me. You're showing up as you, and we're not trying to sharpen any iron. We're just chilling, like, and that sharing is beautiful. And no one needs to do any sharpening. It's just delicious. This is a delicious conversation.
You know what it is? We are.
That's what
this conversation is the sharpening.
Because you're teaching us certain things that, like,
it's smooth.
Oh yeah, you smooth. You're smooth.
It's like a stone. Remember what Bruce Lee says?
Be like water. Be like water.
And a water.
Like water.
Be like water.
That's what I said.
You can have a stone that's sharp all around the edges, and you put it in the lake, and after about, you know what I mean, a time, all the sharp edges get moved by the water, by the energy of the water. Be water, my friend.
Yes.
So maybe that's something that suits Sarah more.
Yeah.
Some people it needs to be knives. Some people it needs to be the water, my friend, you know. But it's all like courses. But one thing
it is though?
Something right now. I'm thinking every single person that's here right now was supposed to be here. And the person that wanted to be and is not, they weren't supposed to be.
Always.
Yep.
So we're getting what we need right now. Or that's what we're getting, because we all bring into our subconscious what we've asked for.
Yes.
100%.
And that's why sometimes it's like, you know, you can have like a woman that's always dating the same guy all the time, same kind of guy all the time, because that's what she's addicted to, even though she doesn't want that. Oh, I keep, you know what I mean? Or even a girl, or even a guy is like, I keep getting these girls who just like, you know, they're this way and that way, and they just, you know what I mean? After 3 weeks, they just disappear and then they turn off and blah, blah, blah. And then you get the same girl again. Could have different figure, different makeup, different afro, different style, but it's the same person we keep dating over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why someone was talking about vibrations and changing your vibrations. Because when you change your vibrations, then you bring about a different type of relationship.
100%.
But it's hard to keep it. Sometimes it takes a while to maintain that, because we're good at maintaining that. If we're in that place that, and I know I've been in so many, that negative woe is me, Alex. And so I keep bringing about other woe is me's. And then we're sharpening each other. We're not helping each other,
Right.
but we're sharpening each other to
Perpetuating the
stay
same
on
thing.
that woe is me level.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And so that's why I feel really, let me tell you, I feel really blessed and in a good mood today, right? So what's so cool is if I wasn't in a good mood, I wouldn't be here with you guys because I'm on a different vibration. So what gives me encouragement is I see how amazing you guys are and how like dope your energy is. And I'm like, oh, that must mean that God's telling me that I'm that same energy because that's why I'm here. And that makes me happy because I'm like, oh, wow, I'm not in as bad a situation as I thought. You know what I mean? Like, this is cool, man. Something else is telling me, what are my friends? I am a lot more smoother than I thought. You know? Nice application, man. You know?
Really important to deal with yourself, because when you start with yourself, this old-fashioned way where let's just be positive, let's just pretend that didn't happen and shove it under the carpet. No. You need balance, all right? You need to face that darkness so you can go back to light, then you can go back to the balance, because that's more peace naturally. Like when you're covering up yourself with plasters and pretending, yes, you might go to a higher vibration, but that's going to fall because it's not natural. You haven't actually, it's not that you haven't earned a right to be there, but you haven't done that work so you can stabilize yourself in another vibration. It's just going to fall away. The minute something, the minute some catastrophe happens, you're not going to know how to get back to that place of peace because you cultivated it internally.
Taste the dark, but don't.
As Alex was saying before,
don't stay in
about
dark.
ways talking about, balance. I wouldn't necessarily, I do believe in balance 100%. Let me just put that out there. But when it comes to emotions and thinking and positive and negative thinking, that every emotion that we have, we're supposed to feel it. Do you see what I'm saying?
100%.
So if you're feeling depressed, angry, if you're feeling all of these so-called negative emotions, feel them. Actually allow yourself to feel them, to understand.
But don't stay there.
But don't stay there, right? This is the thing. So it's not necessarily about creating a balance per se in this particular area. It's being like, okay, I've got this feeling, let it be there, experience it, acknowledge it, accept it, embrace it even. To then just like, I don't even know your name, my love. It's coming up as authors, but I don't actually know your name.
Nadine.
Nadine, sorry. So as Nadine was saying, once you then get to that core and really unveil what it is, the next time something comes around, it's not to say that you won't be shook in any kind of way, but you'll be better able to handle it when it comes around because you've dealt with that situation, you've built that brand. It's almost like when you get a vaccination, you have to get the nonsense in you to build the antibodies that when it comes again, you've got a resistance. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
A lot of the time though, it's that feeling is ticking, it's ticking off some other trauma. Do you know what I mean? So it's something much deeper. It's not, so you might be angry about, I don't know, someone drank all the milk or something, but actually it's about no one cares about whether I eat or not, and that comes from childhood or sometime when you didn't have food. I would say
respected me by taking my things away from me also.
But I feel like it's really good to kind of get into bed with that feeling, surrender to it, make love to it, enjoy it, enjoy it so you fully understand what's going on and what it wants to do and the routes it's taking from your mind into your heart space, whether it is affecting your body. So and through that process, once you get to the bottom, instead of going back the same way it came, you go back another way. So you bring joy in, because if you don't do that, you keep going back the same way, you just keep digging out this groove and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
Same thing again.
Yeah. So it's really important that we just go, okay, I see what's happening here. I see what you want to do. I surrender to this feeling. Wash over me, take what you want, and then and then
I leave, you know.
and then no, literally. But the thing is that the moment you create resistance to that thing that's coming in, try and know it's staying for a lot longer. It's staying forever if you resist it.
Yep.
It will cling on to everything. It will cling on to a little bit of your mind, a little bit of your heart, a little bit of your left knee, you know, like it will cling on to things. You will be feeling this pain in your body. Yeah, so it's very interesting that's what it does. Really interesting. Like every single cell is always listening to you. They're like, what do you need us to do now? You know, where's the danger? That's what they do.
Can can everyone put your Instagram handles and stuff in the chat, please, as well, so you can all.
It's my one. Sorry, just so that you know that my Instagram handle is my name, Apothecary Black, without the space, and yeah, so you can find me on Insta.
Pronounce your name for me, please.
Apothecary Black. A lot of people struggle to say it. It's quite funny. Apothecary. Yeah.
Where's the name from?
What is it? Okay, the name apothecary or apothecon is Latin, so it's like a medicinal person that a healer. It's a healer. So a modern day person, a pharmacist, basically, a pharmacist.
Oh yes.
But it's not just but more to do with things like alchemic stuff. So it's not just like
alchemist,
berries and juices, but it's all to do with like, again, science, matter, all that kind of stuff. So it's more dynamic than just, here you go, here's some paracetamol, and you know, like, but that's essentially
wash it down with a glass of water. There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
This is definitely something we need to do more often. And I feel like I need to generate the whole t-shirt thing and go, what's it called? I am my brother and sister's keeper. You know, that's something that we definitely need to do. And I feel like this platform here today with everyone here has made me overstand or have an inner understanding of what I've got to do. You know, it's bringing, you know, people like yourselves together a lot more, like making that connection, that fluidity, as Sarah said, you know, making that connection. So, you know, I'm very, very privileged and blessed to be in all your presence. You know, I really feel like proper, like, yo, because listen, I was talking to like authors, Nadine, earlier. I was like, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to go on here, man. I don't know what's going to happen here. I was just nervous about it because I wasn't sure. But, you know, it's a case of being nervous. As she said, it's like, you know.
That's good. That's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's just, and now I see it. The more nervous I am with situations, the more amazing I know it will become. Man, this is amazing.
Exactly.
This is amazing.
And that's exactly the same thing about embracing that thing. You feel nervous because you're not comfortable with it, because you can't predict the outcome. If you can't predict the outcome, you can't necessarily prepare for it specifically. And if you can't prepare for it specifically, you then don't know how you're going to react. So you're kind of in a place of unknown. But then this is the thing. Just as, you know, with something positive and negative, or being in the dark. You see, the thing is, when you're in the dark, is what's the first thing that, you know, when you're a child, you do when you're in the dark? You start to fill in gaps. You start to imagine something that isn't there. So it's like a big canvas. It works both ways. Remember, everything works both ways. Yeah. If I'm sitting in the dark and I'm like, oh, well, there's a big monster in the corner, or that jacket looks like a demon or something, I'm like, nice, like it's a flipping snowman in the snow from like it's whatever I want it to be. That's the whole point. I am the author of that environment. It's an open space. I can create and generate, and we're all co-creators. Because it's in the dark, I can say what's there. It's not pre-written.
Creation takes place in the dark.
In darkness, I know. Listen, I know you, That's
this is what
I'm not trying to go there. The triple darkness king. We're conceived in darkness. Yes, I know.
I was also going to say, you know, the minute you try and define something, it begins to die. That's the death of anything, right? So just let it be. Let it be.
Interesting.
Earlier, didn't I, Tim? I said, be like a tree.
Yeah.
Tree doesn't have, there's no expectations. Tree doesn't have any expectations. Do you know what I mean? It just is.
It just is. Exactly.
I dug up a tree, a tree stub today, and it took me 4 days, and I learned so much in that time about myself just by digging out a tree stump and the roots and everything.
Yep.
All the roots in the darkness.
Yep. 100%.
That's where it was all, you know.
Yep. The growth is in there. Yeah.
Our veins are like tree. I like
You don't grow with your eyes. You don't grow with your eyes open. You grow with your eyes closed. In it. Conversation done. Grow while you sleep.
What is it? The deeper the roots, the stronger the tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big thing for us as human beings. You know, that's why I'd written this song called Bend Not Break, and it was really about like these bamboo shoots and what keeps them really strong. And also like it's so funny, if you go and see those monsoons where you see those palm trees, you know, you can have some of the strongest monsoons and those palm trees, they'll always bend, but they'll never break because their roots are so deep, so deep. And so it's like us as human beings, we need to build deep roots of like self-love, deep roots of confidence and positivity and belief in ourselves, so that when the wind and the storm comes, because it will come, we will bend, but we'll never break.
The other thing as well, though, is that the tree is also not trying to resist. It's not trying to go against the wind. It's
plug from Tim in the corner.
Not doing anything. And the trees that will survive these like harsh elements are either the trees that are flexible, you know, the ones that are baby trees and they're thin and they can, you know, go which way and that way, or the ones that are strong and they have very deep roots. So I was even like talking to my daughter, she's just like 10. And like when I got this like analyzation, I analyzed everything. I was like, listen, this is why we need strong roots. Like you need your own foundation. Every tree is a single tree. No trees are bunched up together, sharing this and sharing that. They're by themselves. They have their own foundations. And I feel like this is what we need to be working on. Like, is our own foundations, our own stories that we have created outside of our, you know, our traumas and our illusions and the things that we've made up in our minds. Like our own foundations, they're the things that are going to keep us strong.
Absolutely.
I've got a tree.
Plant analogies as well. It's just like, if you think, I think what you're saying about having strong roots, but equally about being well nourished. Because if you think of a plant that is well nourished, right, it's going to be dry and brittle and it's going to snap, innit?
It's so funny that we're talking about plants. Harmony is a plant woman, and she's just quiet there in the background.
Oh yeah. The presentation with Harmony once, and she had a whole load of plants.
Yes,
like loads.
Apologies,
Harmony, man, come through.
Apologies. I'm just listening in. I'm just like, this is amazing. Like I'm just here. Like I'm just listening in. I'm kind of just chilling.
Are you in your plant room by any chance?
I am, but the lighting's really bad because it's quite dark.
But we need to see the darkness because you know what they say about
because creativity happens in this darkness.
I've got a tree where I live. It's so interesting. The lightning struck the tree, and it split down the middle. Wow. One half died and the other half survived. I'm like, oh, look at this! It was amazing. Yeah.
Did you see yourself in that? Because I was
in the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know if I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought it was amazing, especially when I first saw it. I saw it when it was struck by lightning. I didn't know that one half had died and one half had survived. But then when I went back and I saw that one side nothing was growing and the other side was flourishing, I was like, wow, like that's it. Like there's magic.
And I think equally, to go on from that, what Nadine was saying about the tree being independent, is absolutely. Is that my sound like that? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, because it was crackling in my ear. Yeah, about us being independent and needing our own roots and our own foundations, 100% agree. But I think it's also very kind of important not to fall into the trap of forgetting that even this independent tree is part of a larger cosmos, isn't it?
Collective,
And like
that's
the
right.
fact that,
Mhm.
you know, it's all part of a larger ecosystem. So even if we are strong and in our foundation, we have to recognize that we play a part in everybody else.
Yeah, the soil around.
Kind of like, right? You see what I'm saying? Like,
You know, like when they grow, they make space for one another as well.
That's
So
right.
no trees are
But the
touching. They
trees are
actually.
exhaling,
Don't touch,
or
yeah.
they're inhaling. You see what I'm saying? So it's all
Yeah.
part of a bigger, that
This
interconnectedness,
is-
that
this is
everything, everything kind of vibe, you know, like that.
This
Yeah.
is amazing because you know what? With trees,
Humans need to see that in ourselves.
are able
We
to
humans would need to see the relationship too, because
Oh.
sometimes we just think we're on our own
No, we're not.
and we're just isolated.
No.
Yeah,
We're not.
We're not. We're
and
not.
that's why I
this is
love
what
that
I'm
brother
saying about
people
these trees.
thing.
These trees, if you look at that, like trees literally communicate to each other from here to South. I'm in North London to South London. They communicate in
By their
literally
roots.
a
They
root.
communicate by
a
their
root.
roots. The root
Yes.
system
Yeah.
Okay,
underground.
plant lady, come talk up the
Go on,
things about
plant lady.
Come through, plant
Yeah.
lady.
Come through.
Yeah. You made me put my light ring on. I don't know if you can see the plants.
We can see. We can see.
Wow.
Now you got that.
Beautiful.
That's
But you must
nothing.
have the-
It's
you got the-
absolutely
you got the- you
stunning.
got the freshest oxygen. in that
Yeah,
room, man.
just to echo what you were saying, Tim. Yeah, trees are amazing. Like they communicate. They have like an underground system where they communicate with each other through their roots. Even like with mushrooms, there's
I
like
was just about to say that, you know.
sort of mycelium network that they have,
That's
and
right.
that they communicate with each other as well.
Yes.
And mushrooms have been on like this planet for as
Longer
long as
than
we have.
any. Yeah.
Um,
Longer even. Yeah. Apparently, there's meant to be some massive like. I don't know if it's like I don't know
phone's ringing.
Amazon or something.
So
But it's meant to be like
it's really interesting. Plants are amazing. Just to echo what I think it was Nadine was saying about plants. I don't know who was saying it about like rooting up the tree stump. Because like with me, when I first got into plants, it really taught me about myself, like the roots, how they develop. Even like propagating plants, you can like clone certain plants. Like you can cut a plant, put in water, and then over time, when you change the water, it will start developing its own roots, and then you can grow it into. But it's just amazing how abundant nature is. Even like spring onions, for example, you can cut a spring onion, put it in some soil, and it'll grow. You've got like spring onion for life. Like it's just so amazing. So really getting in touch with nature is also good for like calming. Like even what you're saying about like I'm my brother's keeper, I always think about like well-being and like grooming. And like I know it sounds silly, like yesterday I was watching like a video and it was like a woman that was basically like grooming men. I was thinking I've never seen like that being done. I've always heard about holistic, like, you know, like holistic massage for the head and all that kind of stuff, but it'll be good for like mental health for certain people to have that done, like a treatment or something like that. Or even like gardening, that's really therapeutic. So just doing stuff like that as a community, and even growing stuff in your community.
I just literally looked around and all the women in here and all the men in here, and I'm just like, I just feel so enriched because it's. Thank you. Thank you. This has been amazing.
Thank you for holding space. This has been amazing. Like really amazing. Even if you like continue it and do it like, I don't know, if you do it again, then more people.
I mean, I've been doing the whole. I was doing this in the daytime beforehand. I was doing it like at 10 a.m. in the morning because I've been doing this new thing where I've been getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, going for runs and training or whatever. And you two, like, and it's just giving me such focus differently. And my bro, he bought me a book called Limitless. I started Limitless. I'm like almost halfway through Limitless now. Yo, and it's just the different type of books that I've been reading, just like, you know, getting food from different roots and different trees and different whatnot. I literally, if you think about it, the pages of those books are
the book made
from you know what I mean, like the roots. Say that again.
I said, what's the book made from?
Paper, exactly, like wood, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like,
He just wants the Romeo Dunn moment. He keeps coming up with these things. He's like, I want to finish this. I want to end it. Mic drop.
no, but honestly, it's been absolutely amazing. Like, I feel like there's something that is probably innately there that we're not necessarily missing, but we're not necessarily 100% connecting. The whole fact that trees, books, why are books written on things that are, you know what I mean? Why have trees, or, you know what I mean? You see what I'm trying to go with that?
Yes,
like, they're teaching us something. There is something there to learn from that we're looking at it and on like, you know what I mean, a very surface level, but I feel like there's something a lot deeper in terms of the trees and what do they really mean in our lives, in our ecosystem. I remember this thing about, in the daytime, trees give us oxygen, in the nighttime they put out carbon monoxide. Is that right?
We breathe out carbon dioxide, and they take in carbon dioxide, and they breathe out oxygen. They do oxygen. So basically, there's
in the night. In the nighttime, they give out what? Carbon dioxide, no? Right. Yeah. I said monoxide, didn't I? Yeah. So in the night,
it'll be dead. It'll be dead. Huh? I said if that was the case, it'd all be dead.
I know, but nighttime.
I guess the trees have knowledge, right? There's no new water on this planet. It's 70% water, right? The trees are drinking that water, and they have the knowledge. Like, you know, I was attuned to Reiki in the summer, and I picked a tree. You know, I had to get really close and personal with a tree. I love this tree. It's my favorite tree. It was my favorite tree before I was attuned. But trees, like, I feel like, I know it's going to sound really weird, but I can hear them. I can hear them. Like, I take myself for a walk, like recently, like they're dreaming the sweetest dreams. They're coming, they're about to wake up, you know, like spring is coming. It's very beautiful, but trees are magical. They're entirely magical.
So is it bad that, like, during the first lockdown, I used to put on my martial art gear and like instep and go out and kick trees?
Yeah, that's really bad, actually. Yeah.
I hugged them.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to come off this call right now. I can't believe you just said that.
Right?
That was my favorite tree's cousin. That was my favorite. This is the beef now. I'm sorry. That was my favorite tree's cousin. Like, I feel like crying now. Like, so
no, but it's
belly up and come through for the trees.
Bellied up to that.
Whoa. Well, don't belly up, please. Don't belly up.
No, trees have feelings, innit? Trees definitely have feelings. Just like water does. Water has feelings, you know, like when the water comes out the tap, it's traumatized, isn't it? It's so traumatized. Water wants to be free. We put it in pipes and then we turn a tap on. It's like it's filled with trauma. It's a thing.
Wow. Interesting.
You have to speak love into your water, man. You really do.
No, I tell the tree what I'm gonna, you know, I try and kick a rubber tree. I haven't seen a lot of rubber trees in England.
So the type of tree then
you might have to go back to that tree and hug the tree and stay there, and fully embrace that tree and apologize. Actually,
I do it naked.
This guy's fully mocking it.
Excellent.
Are you doing the tree?
No, you've gone from kicking the tree to exposing yourself to the tree. I don't know what to say anymore.
Because obviously, I mean, like, back to nature, you know, Adam and Eve. I
agree. I agree.
But, you know, back to nature.
That's what it is. You think the tree wants your naked body against it?
Sarah,
all I will say is if you're gonna hug the tree naked, be careful of the splinters. That's all I'm gonna say to you, baby.
Oh, we've fallen apart now, haven't we?
Yeah, fallen apart.
Hey, go on, regroup, gang, regroup.
I think I'm gone. My head's like, yeah, I've hit my peak.
This has been amazing. I want to leave this on a high. This has been absolutely amazing. I really thank you, every single one of you, from the bottom of my heart, for coming through and sharing your space, sharing this space with me. You know, so thank you so much, and please come back, come back. Let's put some presents on people's. Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely.
Thank you for holding
I
the
don't
space
want to
for
go.
us this evening.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I don't want to go.
It's
I'm
been
sorry.
great. Thank you very much.
Like,
No,
thank
you hang up.
Oh, you
You
hang
hang
up.
up. No, you hang up. You
No,
hang
yeah.
up. No, you.
No, you hang up.
All right,
No,
man.
Thank you.
You hung up.
Have to go though, guys. So I'm
Thank
gonna
you very
say
much.
good
Yeah.
luck to everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Through.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you later.
Bye.